We already pimped her out at the top of the show. Joy Behar. She's our guest this week on the Six Pack. You might know her from sitting at that table at The View. She's been there all 12 seasons, 12 years, sitting at that table with yappity yap ladies.
You know, it's a little known information, actually, that originally she was brought in by Barbara only to be there on the days that Barbara was not there.
Yeah.
But the crowds loved her so much, and she was so funny that they were like, all right, you're in full time. And now she's been there ever since.
She's a funny broad. She's a champion of the gays. Might even call her a gay icon. And now she has her own show on HLN called The Joy Behar Show.
And perhaps most importantly, the first thing that you and I ever did together socially was see Joy Behar live. And that's the truth.
We went to the Zipper Club.
Yeah.
And saw Joy Behar and stalked her after the show.
And we talked to her after the show. So it all has come around, people, finally.
It's time. Are you ready to Skype in Joy Behar?
Take a little time and enjoy your Joy Behar.
Hi, Joy.
Hi, Ben.
Hello, Joy.
Hi, Dave.
So before we get to anything else, I mean, everyone's talking about how the Jersey Shore kids were on The View this week, and clearly you had some sort of visceral reaction to them.
Oh, my God. Well, you know, I realized that when I was a kid, I was threatened by girls like that. By the Snookies and the JWowws and the Sammys or whatever the hell their names are. They used to come in my neighborhood in Brooklyn and pick on me and want to start fights with me because I think that there was something about me that they didn't like. For example, I used to wear Bermuda shorts. My parents paid attention to me. I was smart in school. I used to go to the theater. I was sort of like a gay kid in a way, you know, a gay boy in the neighborhood being picked on by the bullies. So this is why I don't like them.
Did it have something to do with your hair, too? Because you always talk about your hair when you were a kid, and these girls are obsessed with their hair.
Well, they don't care if they don't like your hair, because then you're not competition for them. The boys used to really tease me about my hair more than the girls. The girls there were girls in the neighborhood who just were intent upon beating the crap out of me. And I used to try to talk them out of it because, you know, I was a good girl and I came from a good family. But I liked to hang out in the street like everybody else. You know, there were other girls in the neighborhood who, you know, they went to Catholic school and they would go home right after school and they would hole up in their houses. But I went to public schools with them, you know. So it was just brutal. And I don't like those kind of kids. And I think they're really headed for disaster. But Sherry admitted to me that if they were doing this kind of stereotyping about African Americans, she wouldn't like it either.
Yeah.
Right, or about gay people. I mean, this is one of the things we talk about all the time is how we move past stereotypes. So after meeting them, do you feel the same way?
I still do I feel it even more than ever. Snooki, you know, Snooki wants to be a veterinarian. Now, don't you have to study and go to school? I was reading somewhere that she just read her first book the other day.
Oh my God.
Was it Shitsakakapoo too?
That was, maybe she can handle that level.
Yeah, it's my favorite book.
That's funny. You know, you want to be a veterinarian. I think I'll send to Shitsakakapoo to read. I think I'll tweet that. I love that.
You were talking about childhood and people picking on you. Do you ever have these look at me now moments? I mean, you have your own show on HLN. You've been at The View. I mean, we think you're the hardest working woman in the business. Is it true?
Well, I do have a lot of work I'm doing. You know, it's people say, why do you need two shows? Well, they ask me to do it, you know, so I never say no if I think it's going to work for me, so that's why I have two shows. But do I ever say, look at me? No, I don't really operate like that because I understand the lure of saying, hey, look, you see? But for some reason, it's too long ago now for me to get any kind of fun out of it anymore.
Yeah. You know? So one thing that you talk about a lot, and I can appreciate this as a comedian from Long Island who was born in Brooklyn, just like you, that you used to be trapped on exit 60-something on the LIE as a housewife. What was the moment? Do you remember, like, the moment that you were like, I got to get out of here, I got to go do comedy?
Well, there were a couple of moments that occurred at that time. I had a little postpartum depression, so I couldn't really get out of bed too easily. So I think I was lying there one day, and I thought, I've got to get out of this bed. That was one thing. And the second thing was, I read an article in New York Magazine about Elaine Boozler, who's a comedian. I don't know if you know her.
Of course.
And she was doing, she was like the hot thing at the Improv. And a woman comedian, I thought, I was a little jealous. I was like, hey, I want to do that. But I couldn't possibly conceive of doing it at that moment. But I saw that. And, so those two things together. And a lot of times when you feel jealousy towards something, you should act on it because it means you want something like that.
Well, speaking of jealousy, so as a comic now, I'm so jealous of all the comics that did it in the 80s because it seemed like you had a great gang with like Susie Essman and Larry David. Yeah. Did you guys realize how much it was going to blow up for all of you, or the business just wasn't even there, so you were just kind of doing it to do it?
We were just doing it. I noticed that there was a huge number of comedy clubs that were blooming at that time. And one night on a Saturday night, I did 6 sets in 6 sets in 6 different clubs, and I supported myself that way with $50 a set.
Yeah.
Other people were struggling. Not everybody has, come out on the other side, truthfully. I mean, it's still a tough business. I mean, we struggled a lot during those years, but I think it's much harder now. You have to find a place where you can work out your sets. And I don't know if it's as easy to do anymore.
Well, speaking of working things out, you've been very open about going to therapy, and I'm fascinated by these psychodrama sessions that you do. Can you tell everybody about those?
Once a month, 6 or 7 women meet at my apartment, and we go around. The women in the group are highly analyzed already. They've been through, and they're older like me, and 2 of them are therapists themselves. And we go around the room and talk about what's bugging us that week, and then we see if there's a psychodrama in the room. And the psychodrama entails basically playing out the scene and then trying to take it to another level to try to understand what happened. Basically, that's what it is. It's like role-playing with other people playing different parts. So let's say you have a problem with your boss, and you had a contretemps with your boss that day, right? So then we will set up the scene, and we'll have to see what the thing looked like in reality, and then we take it to the next level where people will stand behind you and double for you and say things that you really wanted to say, or you can reverse roles with your boss and see where he's coming from. So it works like that.
Is that why you keep asking Barbara to come, but she doesn't seem to be into it?
Barbara Walters?
Yeah, you've asked her a couple times to join you.
Yeah, no, there's no way she's ever going to do anything like that. It's not her thing, believe me.
You know who might need some psychodrama or some therapy? Levi Johnston, who you've had on your show, and we've talked about, because people have called him a gay icon, and we would call you a gay icon, not Levi Johnston. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I was only teasing him at the point because his nude pictures were appearing in Playgirl magazine, and a lot of the gays were all over it. It was like that.
Yeah.
Not a gay icon, more like an object of lust. Let's put it that way.
I'll go with that. Did you realize, or was it intentional in any way, like how quickly the gay community has sort of jumped all over you? I mean, we've been fans for a long time, but it seems like in the last 6 months, or maybe since the new show came out, that gays are obsessed with you suddenly.
Well, I think that my positions on gay issues has always been consistent on The View. And in my stand-up, too. And I always had a gay following when I first started, even, and I used to play down in the Village. I always, the gay audience has always been a great audience, because they always know what's going on. You don't have to explain a reference to the gay audience. They get it.
Yeah.
And so I sort of always migrated in that direction, but my show now is very pointed, and so if I have, like I had on Ted Haggard, so we don't shy away from those type of conversations. He's in a lot of trouble, Ted Haggard. He may not know it, but he said that he can go back to being straight. Please. One of the things I said to him is I've never heard of, and he's been in therapy for this. I said I've never heard of a heterosexual going into therapy to become a homosexual.
He said he has 15 therapists. I thought you were going to flip your wig.
We will see how long before he is back at the Ramrod. I mean, let's get real. But here's the other thing about that couple. They're in a lot of trouble in terms of they have no money. The church people have turned on them.
Yeah.
And they have basically banished them from the community, which is, as I pointed out, not a very Christian thing to do. Yeah. And so I think that they're clinging to each other as two people in the storm. Whether you're gay, whether you're straight, it's almost like it's irrelevant to them now because they have each other, they have their kids.
You're a huge ally of the gay community, but a few weeks ago, some people got on your case for comments you made about monogamy and gay relationships. What was the backstory there?
I was quoting Dan Savage, who said that gays do not have the same point of view about monogamy that straight people do. It's not my opinion because I'm not gay myself, so I can't speak to that. But he is. And so he's the one I was quoting.
Did you feel like people jumped on you for that?
Well, if they did, it doesn't bother me because I didn't do anything I didn't say anything untoward, really. I was quoting him.
So Steve, your spousal equivalent, as you call him, so you guys aren't married after all these years, and I think that's another reason why the gays love you, because it sort of seems ridiculous to you, it seems.
Well, people say, I have to admit, that it's not the reason I'm not getting married has nothing to do with gay marriage. Although a lot of people in show business now are using that as an excuse. I don't totally buy it. Mm-hmm. But if people want to get married, they should get married. And gays, straights, I don't care who you are. If you want to do it, do it. I don't want to do it right now. I was for a while. I thought about it, yeah.
And Barbara was going to throw the party.
Oh, please. Please. No, I don't want her to throw the party. If I get married, I will just sneak off and get married, and then you'll hear about it the next day.
It's no fun.
Yeah, I know.
But would it be a Jewish wedding or a Catholic wedding?
Neither.
Neither.
No religion.
I'm willing. I'm willing to accept that.
Yeah.
Joy, we got to thank you for being on. I know we got to let you go get ready for your show, The Joy Behar Show, which is 9 p.m. weeknights on HLN.
Okay.
And also, I want to point out you were nominated for a GLAAD Award, and so we will see you at the award ceremony coming up.
I look forward to seeing you guys.
Thanks so much.
The Six Pack.